So, good afternoon, everyone. It's Lisa Ware, Senior Group Leader, Utility Warehouse. This is the Tuesday Yessave team coaching. And I'm not really going to be sharing my screen much. I'll be talking to you, just talking. I think I'm going to have to mute people because otherwise, um, yeah, there we go. Oh, I nearly ended the meeting. Right, we're there, we're going. Right, guys, I I very much want the incredible income that I am so blessed to have. I'd like to see more and more and more people have it. Okay. I know in the network I do earn an awful lot of money because Mr. Critchley that sits at the top tells me so. And I actually believe I'm earning more than a couple of NGLs. How about that? So how's it been done? Well, I suppose you could say it's a little bit extraordinary because I do sit on a lot of personal customers. And I do have quite a large number of group customers. But from the moment I started this business I just knew was all about quality. And you don't want customers to come, last a year and go. In fact, you don't want them to come and last just the 18 months for the first broadband and go. So if it's okay with you, I'm doing a big L terminology there. I'm probably going to be rather controversial. And I know some of you will go, well, that's just par for the course with Lisa Ware. Okay. Because I'm going to possibly speak some truths that some won't like. Okay. Because it has to be said. Now, as we speak, I currently sit on under 10% tenancy. Now, with almost 700 personal customers, that's a very small percentage. Okay. I am absolute proof that you can do this with a big home ownership. Where at times I sign up tenants is when I've been referred and the person is a tenant. Now, look, you can't go round and say to somebody, well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sign up your best mate because she's a tenant. Okay, that would be really, 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 I would say a big misnomer. Okay. But that's how I've got some tenants. Okay, that's how they've come about. But all the ones that I actually mostly seek out are homeowners because I made a decision, not that I'm tenantist, if there's such a word, because I was a tenant for about 11 years actually, although I never missed a single direct debit on all my bills myself. In fact, I would have been a good bet. But what I'm saying is, I have put this out to the teams. Our company is doing everything in its power to get us to sign up homeowners. Have you noticed that? No achiever points, no free energy points. Um, there's all kinds of things. Now, what some people don't know is, as well as not getting an upfront bonus, and that one's really obvious, when you sign up a tenant, although you earn residual income immediately that the direct debit kicks in, which can be within a month, you only earn 50% residual income for 2 years. And thereafter, when they become what's called an established tenant, you earn 75%. Now, I can tell you through years and years of experience, and I think 2 decades plus experience is quite a bit. You get less than that for life. Okay. I can tell you, you work just as hard, if not harder, often with a tenant. because you have to ask them all kinds of questions, which sometimes they don't like. I'm going to give you an example. So, a lady that I've had for donkey's years, and she's referred me to many people in her family, and she's quite an extraordinary lady, and she lives down in Weymouth. About 4 months ago, she referred me to her grandson, who was, for the very first time, going to into a property by himself. Now, I thought it was that he was moving out of the family home. No, I got it totally wrong. When I turned up, he was in a flat because sadly his marriage had broken up and he was moving out of the marital home, which was home ownership, and he was going to have the children in sort of, you know, uh, every so often. This was not his fault, but she wanted him to have something that was simple and easy to do. So he had broadband, mobile, um, it was gas and electric actually in this flat. And he took the cashback card. Obviously, no boiler cover because that belongs to them. Yeah. Now, that's a classic example. I would not turn that away. Of course, I wouldn't. But what I'm going to say to you is when we got going through stuff, I said to him, oh, by the way, who's your landlord? Or who's your letting agent? He said, what do you need to know that for? I said, because it is going to come up and I might as well know it. He said, why? I said, well, whether you've got a 12-month contract or a 6-month contract for your tenancy, when you move on, that property is vacated. Sometimes it could be empty for a few months before a new tenant moves in. In the meantime, Utility Warehouse are obliged compliantly by law to continue to provide energy to that property. They can't switch it off. So either they need to know who the landlord is to get a direct debit going with the landlord, or the letting agent that will deal with it. Then, hopefully, eventually, someone else will move in, and then they've got to do all of that again. Can you imagine the amount of admin that causes? Guys, this is true. This may sound an awful lot. It is. There is a huge amount. It's millions of debt, but it's not as bad as what Octopus have got and Ovo have got. If you watched the Big Night In with Nick Schoenfeld, our chief financial officer, he'll tell you, we're running sustainably. Octopus and Ovo are not. In fact, they shouldn't really be running at all because their debt is huge. Now, ours is okay, but it's still running into millions and millions. And this was shocking to me when I first heard it. 97% of all the debt that's accrued has come from tenants. We have to, as a business, take that on board. The company very much wants us to not just build incomes, but incomes that last forever. I think we would both put both hands up. We want that, don't we? We want to get paid over and over and over again. And you'd probably say, well, yeah, but, oh, well, my tenants are going to pay. Yeah, they probably are. But when they move out, they might continue their services, but it's all this stuff that goes on in the back on what takes over. Now, because most of my customers are homeowners, if they should move, and by the way, the fact is, did you know that homeowners stay in their property 10 times longer? So most of them will be around in their property about 10 years before they move. Now, obviously, there are always some that will move more, but most will. But the thing is, a homeowner will do everything in their power to keep their mortgage going and paying their bills because they don't want to lose it, because they've got a vested interest in it. Does that make sense? So what happens is they continue their services, then the person that moves in who's buying, guess what? Invariably, we are the incumbent supplier. guess what? They usually don't get rid of the services. And sometimes I ring them up and I add to them. Okay. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because I'm on about quality, quality, quality. How have I managed to do that with 700 customers? Well, in truly, probably over half of mine are referrals. And I can happily tell you this. Leon Warner said to me some time ago when they brought in connectors, you don't really need connectors, Lisa, because as you've said, without fail, usually every month you get 3, 4 recommendations, whereas most people don't even get one referral a year, whereas I get about 3, 4 every single month. So that's because I'm working in the homeowner department mostly. All right. So how do you get all that many? Well, this, I was told from the word go, was a referral marketing business. I wasn't told it was network marketing. Rob Barra said to me it was referral. And I took that on board and he said, just ask everyone for 3. And that's what I did. When I was on any appointment, I said, oh, everybody gives me 3. Do you know what? It's really hilarious. When you tell somebody everybody gives me 3, they do. I just used to shut up with my little book to help, and they tell me, I've done 2 today. Guess what? How many referrals have I got today from 2? I've got 6. I got 6. So it doesn't mean I'm going to sign them all up, but I've got people to call. That's because I've always worked it this way. I haven't gone in and out the door like a flash. Now, that moves me on to the next thing to say to you. By the way, this is a massive thing. I could talk about it next week too. So, how do you do that appointment? Well, I'm telling you, if you're trying to get all your business through social media, you possibly aren't building up the rapport and the relationship that should be. I build relationships. I do not assign 1 hour to an appointment ever. Personally, they say to me, how long will it take? And I say, well, the signing up bit only takes about 10 minutes. I said, but I need to show you stuff. So I'm going to say to you an hour. But of course, that depends on how many questions you ask me. What I've just done is opened it up that if I stay longer, it's their fault, not mine. True? Yeah. I've given myself carte blanche that I can stay longer because I've already said I only need an hour, really, but it depends how much you ask. And you know what? They ask loads and loads and loads. So let's take the one that I went face to face to. I drove about 20 miles to an area near a place called the Badges. It's Chalk Badges, a place called Foven in Wiltshire. In my opinion, it was a referral. It was worth the drive. And I was really glad I did because she and I couldn't find her electric meter. She'd only moved in two months ago and she couldn't find it. Now, she'd already taken up with PlusNet. And you'd say, hang on a minute, Lisa, what? And you've switched her broadband? Yeah. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to build, big word, value into us. Value is not about money. Value is about everything. And this is a phrase that you can willingly use. You may have heard me say it. I always say to folk, look, if all you wanted was the cheapest in life, you'd be driving around in a £500 old banger. By the way, don't say that if they are. Very few are. But the reality is, they go, no, I'm not. I said, you've probably got a car that is many thousands of pounds. And they say, yes. I say, no, it's not the cheapest thing you could buy, isn't it, on the road? And they go, no. And why is that? Because actually what you're looking for is something much more, probably comfort, um, gadgets, electric windows, things that work and are going to last a long time, quality. And they go, yeah. And I'll say, well, this is the same with UW because do you know what? I'm not going to tell you that everything's the cheapest because it's not. Do you know what you've just done? You've set the scene. You've just set the scene. And some of you will go, oh my God, she said she's not going to offer the cheapest. No, because do you know what you'll get? Excuse the expression. I told you I'm going to be controversial. You'll get rate tarts. People that spend their lives on the internet and they're out there that all they ever do is switch, switch, switch because they're after the cheapest. We're not looking for them. We're looking for people that are looking for value. And I say to them, value, it is money because you want to know you've got good value. We all do. But what you're also probably looking for is, well, you don't want AI bot chat. And then I ask them, how frustrating is that? And they go, horrendous. And let them go off on one. Let them throw all the stuff that they hate about AI bot chat. And then I say to them, it's things like, how about the ease of being able to get to your bills? Instead of maybe 5 different bills, 5 direct debits, 5 passwords, now this is going to be simple. And they go, yeah. And you can't quite put a price on that. And then I say to them, and then there's something called 6-star customer service. And they go, what's that? I say the company offers 5-star, but I offer 6. Because now you've got a real human being that hopefully you can understand is prepared to go the extra mile. And I always joke when it's face to face, in this case, literally, and they laugh. And somebody that you've now got a hands-on person that you can talk to. Someone you've actually met. Now, the second one was through Zoom, remote, but we've met and we've built rapport. Yeah. So I say to them, there's so much more to this. So I do the appointment, but as I'm doing it, I'm adding in these little phrases that matter. Okay. Because they do matter. And how do I build the referrals? Well, the referrals come as I'm doing the appointment. So, for example, when it comes to things like, let's say, excellent customer services, I always say to them, can you think of just one person that you know that really, really wants great customer service? And I'll say to them, I'll go and write that down. And they do. And I learned this one years ago, but dear Claire Hingott, she talks about it too. Yeah. And then when it comes to things like cashback, I say to them, cool, who do you know is always out spending? It's usually a woman, and that brings a laugh. And I say, think of one person, and they put a name down. They write it down. What you're doing, I work to about 3. It's usually 3. Now, Claire goes for 4. You can go for as many as you want. Sometimes they tell me more than one person, but they're writing these names down. And what they don't know is that they're building up a referral list for you. And you can do it really well if you're not there thinking, I must get in the door and I must get out. I don't do that. And I do ask them things like, by the way, are we all right for time? Like, especially when I'm on Zoom, it's not a given that I've got lots of time. I actually ended up spending an hour and a half with the chap on Zoom doing that one. Okay. Now, the lady that had only just moved in, I said, right, we did the one-touch switch. It was fibre 40. And she said to me, there's no point in me having the fibre 80 because I'm here already. And do you know what? The speeds aren't there. I said, yeah, I checked it out. There's no point in paying more. You might as well have the other one. I said, the only difference is it is going to be a better service because this router is better than what PlusNet sends you out. So what other things do I do to prove that? Because that's a huge statement. On my, I could show you if you wish. Has anyone ever seen this? Let me see if I can pick it up. Can you see Trustpilot? Can you give me a thumbs up? Yeah. So there's PlusNet. So I said to her, look, there's about, as you can see, 11,700 odd reviews. And unfortunately, most of them only give it 1 star. And then I say, there's EE. Look at this. Talk. Sky. BT. BT is so bad, they've actually stopped allowing any reviews to go on the Trustpilot site. It says it. How bad is that? Virgin. Over 100,000 reviews, and they are the most expensive provider, but it doesn't mean it affords quality. I say stuff like this, and then I say, look, I can't actually have any influence over this. Look, 64 and a half odd thousand reviews, and 70% give it 5 stars. This is massive. Guys, what I'm doing, I am sharing stuff that is there. It's there for the taking if you want to show it. I'm building up why it was good for her, even though she's only just switched, to actually come. And she said, yeah, no, I will. And actually, we were cheaper. She was paying 35 and we're 26. Now, she was only paying £9 for a Tesco mobile, and we're 13 with Essential. But I said to her, the meal deal. Do we know what we mean by the meal deal? Main course, side, sometimes a dessert. Used to get a bottle of wine, but not anymore. Not many of them. But those 3 things in any supermarket are usually round about 15 quid. But you buy the main on its own and it's more expensive than the 3. And I say to them, this is the same thing. So I said, it doesn't matter if one thing is a bit dearer than the others. It's the package. Yeah. So now they're not worried about individual prices. Otherwise, they fixate on individual prices. And then the big one, how to get the quality. I am going to continue this next week because there is just too much. I've got loads of stuff written down here. All right. The quality comes with the cashback card. Now, there is a new partner in my business that is a door knocker, and he's coming with a vengeance. I can't show you, but he's doing very, very well. He's got all homeowners. He got 17 customers on his first month last month, and he's already up to 10 this month. And they're all homeowners. And he's all got homeowners, but not one cashback card. And I'm desperately trying to convince him that it's worthwhile. Why the cashback card? Because, guys, the cashback card makes simply customers sticky. When that first broadband promotional contract expires and the higher price comes in, this will be the difference that they won't care about, because I show people my cashback has eliminated the cost of my phone and broadband entirely. Why would I care? Because I'm actually paying about £39 a month for mine, because I live rurally, I'm on the extended network, and I'm on the out of contract price. Do I give a damn? No, because my cashback pays for it. And the cashback actually psychologically seals people in. Now, I've done something new as well. I'm going to just add this in while I think about it. When I'm talking to people on a 20k giveaway stand, I've learned a little thing to do, which is so good. Most people, are you right? Are they terrified of getting junk? Scam calls and all the rest of it? Yeah. So one of the things I do when I speak to them, as I take their details, there's the email address there, and I go, you don't want junk, do you? And they go, no. I say, right. And I purposely stick a line through the email. Straight away, they've got more belief that now they'll stay and talk to me because they're not going to get bombarded with junk. It's a little clever thing, yeah? But the reason I'm telling you this is because I want time with them on the stand to show them my bill. I want to bother to show them. So, like on the appointment, I'm showing my bill because the bill is the recommendation. I'm not selling, I'm recommending. I hear so many people talk about we provide this. No, we don't. You and I do not provide the contract for the services for Utility Warehouse. We recommend them, or we're meant to. Big difference. If you put yourself up as the company, they'll go for you if something goes wrong. So I never talk about we. I'm recommending this company. I recommend them as a customer and a partner. And that's why I show my bill, because my bill is everything. And I've just added another unlimited SIM card to it, actually. So now I've increased it again, but it's still going to be amazing, even with adding that. So the quality, as I say to them, cash back is every time I go anywhere and spend money anywhere, I'm going to get some money back. It could be a one-off stall holder. For my bill is full of farms. We go and fill up our litre bottles and fill it up with milk, £1.20, but we get some cash back. We go to all sorts of individual places because I want to support local businesses and keep them alive, not the big conglomerates. Yes, I do go to Sainsbury's every so often, and I do like the 3% back on my petrol. But they say to me, I'm not near a Sainsbury's. And I go, no, neither am I. This is how you get it, folks. I go, no, I'm not either. Aren't you? No. I said, the nearest Sainsbury's it's at least 11 miles away. I'm not going to go make a special trip of 11 miles to fill up with fuel. That would be absolutely foolhardy. So I say to them, when I'm in the vicinity of my travels and there is a Sainsbury's, I fill up because that makes sense to do so. So all the time, I'm bringing in how you operate this, how you think differently, because I want them to absolutely love the discount club. The lady today said, oh, well, my nearest supermarket is Tesco's. I went, so's mine. Oh, she said, is it? I said, yeah. I said, I show my club card. I get club card prices. I still collect those measly points that give me a bit of money. But I said, then I pay with my cashback card. Double whammy. And all of a sudden you help them think, don't you? I say, I give them little hacks. I say to them, I don't buy my stamps, postage stamps at the post office because you get no cash back. What I do is I go to Boots or I go to Sainsbury's and I buy my stamps there and then I get 5% or 3%. Happy days. Little hacks. People like this stuff. And what they start to realise is you're giving them more value just by being there and explaining stuff. Because you don't get this with other companies, do you? Now, I personally offer to do things like I get the pack codes. I make sure their handset's unlocked. I do all that stuff because that is the difference between me going in and out fast. Some people allow them to do it all. Well, actually, that's not 6-star customer service, but that's what I offer. Now, some people go, oh, Elisa, how can you find the time to do that? And I say, I make the time to do it because I want these customers for years and years and years, and I've got them. You cannot get to 700, right, if they were churning all the time. You'd lose them. To retain that amount, you actually have to look after people. And actually, it's what I call an upfront. Do it up front. And you know what? Once they're switched and everything's over, sometimes you don't hear about them for years. And I forget who they are. Now, look, this is only one part. I have got so much stuff here to share with you. I've got to make it next week. Is that okay? Part 2. Because there's a lot of extra things. Is this of value to you, though? Yeah? Right, you can unmute yourself. Any questions so far? Go for it. Yes, Carenza.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
Great. Um, do you know if I have a tenant and she's just bought her house and she's moved her services into a homeowner? Do you know if that automatically switches over to her being a homeowner? Or
Fan-
do I have to ring head office?
No, fantastic question. Brilliant. I'm so glad you asked. The lady today, homeowner, and although she was homeowner to homeowner, she is not going to be on the land registry for probably 6 to 8 months. So
Mm.
there and then, you see, what I did, I said to her, right, we've got to prove your home ownership because as a homeowner, you get better value. She said, oh, right. I said, you've got that extra free energy days, £121.68. So I said to her, have you got any documentation from maybe your solicitor, your conveyancing solicitor, or an estate agent that proves you own the home? She couldn't find anything. And then I said to her, you've got to have had some emails. Oh, yeah, she said, I've got emails. So what she sent me is an email from the solicitor that says the completion statement. I've already sent that up to head office. Nipped it in the bud before data centers say to me they want proof of home ownership. Done. Yeah. And with her, we couldn't find the electric meter because I wanted to make sure that she had a smart meter. You know why? Because she said to me, she's about to get an electric vehicle and she wants to charge up. So I said, you've got to have a smart meter. Well, actually, this meter was camouflaged in the wall. It was pebble dash. And finally, we found it. I took a photograph immediately and said, great, this is a smart meter. That's good. Because, the company can reconfigure them to put it onto either EV or I put people onto economy 7 because instead of 5 hours cheaper rate, you get 7 hours. Yeah. All right. Does that help?
Yes,
Anything
thank
else? Any
you.
other questions? Yes. Fran.
How do you know it's a smart meter just by taking a picture of it?
Because it looks totally different to a non-smart meter. So if I was to show you now what my meter looks like, there's a lot of noise in someone's background, hell of a lot of noise. Um,
Sorry, I think it's me.
yeah. um, my meter downstairs, I can't have a smart meter because I am outside of 4G, 5G, everything. Yeah. So mine is ever such a simple display. And then if I showed you a smart meter, it's much bigger and there's loads of buttons and it's so obvious it's a smart meter. And it actually says, this one said SMET 2, which means smart meter second generation.
Oh, okay, because I've got only an original meter because I can't have a smart meter either. So that's why I'm asking because I only know what mine looks like.
Well, it will look entirely different, much bigger than
Right.
what you've got. Okay. Next one. Yes, Shalena, unmute yourself.
It's me, Aruna.
Okay. Could you post pictures, Fran, of your smart meter and or your lack of smart meter, and Lisa
Yeah.
yours, just so that I know what I'm looking for because I don't have a clue,
So I'll
please.
tell you what I'll do on the groups. I've got both. I'll
Okay.
I'll put a photo of a meter, one of each. All right,
Mm.
so you can see what
Okay.
And
it's
and
like.
could you also please explain the economy 7? You were saying that if they're wanting, um, you said something just now about
Yeah.
economy 7.
Right. EV tariffs only last for 5 hours, right? The EV, yeah,
Okay.
rate. It's a cheaper rate. Actually, our economy 7 is even cheaper than the EV. Fact.
Okay.
All right. And economy 7 starts at midnight till 7 in the morning. So what I get my customers to do is like, you charge that car up, stick it on charge after midnight. And by the way, these chargers have things that they can, what would you call it? Timer.
Timers. Yeah,
Yeah. So
timers.
they set it. So they're using that. And then I say to them, now you could be super smart. You could put your dishwasher on after midnight. You could put your washing machine on, put the timer on to come on at 5. and it will be done and dusted by 7. By the time you get up, it won't be crumpled washing, and you're making use of this cheap rate. The beauty of a smart meter is it can be reconfigured by the supplier remotely to be EV or economy 7, even when it's just what could be a 1 rate in the first place. So I do customers all the time where I'm doing these emails and saying, please, can you make, we're switching this over on the join the club. Whatever they want is what you put in. So today, at the moment, I've put in the 1 rate, which is known as general domestic. That's 1 rate all the time. But she's not got her EV car yet. I said, when you get it and you've got the charger installed and everything, get back to me. And all I'll do is do an email on your behalf. I'll copy her in and I'll send it up. Now, the reason I copy in is so that head office can see it's not me doing this. It's the customer giving that authority. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
What team do you send those to, Lisa?
Well, you can't send it to the data center. You've got to send it to, I've got a team called partner support as opposed to partner services. But I think you have as well. I think everything can be done these days, can't they, too?
It's WhatsApp number, yeah?
Yeah, WhatsApp, that's it.
Yeah. We have, I think I have that.
Guys, we're 8 minutes over. Otherwise, I'll be done for misrepresentation that I say it's a 30-minute. So look, we will continue this next week, all about value and quality and how to build that. And next week, very much how to duplicate that. Yeah?
Thank you.
Lovely. Nice to see you all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.